When you think of gaming engines, you probably think of Unity or Unreal. That says a lot considering how things used to be. Back in the Wild West days, most games were built from bespoke kernels that interpreted how the game code for that game would interact with the display software, whatever that display software was. Essentially, every single game developed had its own bespoke engine, if you will. This means that even individual ports of games could be radically different from each other because even if you had referenced the original source code, there was no way to interpret directly how it would behave on the displayed system from system to system. Most developers at first developed bespoke frameworks, like Miyamoto and his team's smooth side-scrolling engine used on the NES. There are some other examples of bespoke developer frameworks to come out of the 2D era of gaming, like RPG Maker and several similar game maker studios, usually focused on a certain genre, so that fans could have the opportunity to make their own games. But the term game engine was first used in the 90s with the advent of 3D games, but the first of these engines to truly become notable was Doom. Doom was so successful that rather than develop whole engines to compete with it, developers licensed the engine from id Software. This led to a plethora of Doom clones on every PC and system you can imagine. Developers made custom graphic sets, but the Doom engine, which continued to grow and improve, powered everything underneath the hood. This led to a shift in the industry. Future games like Quake and Unreal were designed to be showpieces for their engines, and other companies could license and use them. Games were made to show off an engine's features, not the other way around. There was money to be made in the development and licensure of these systems to make games, and what was once a novelty for enthusiasts became the standard practice. This also opened the door for more indie studios since they could focus on the game assets rather than building code from scratch to make it all run. And at this point, game engines are being used in everything from feature films to television programs. Enter Ubisoft circa 2010, announcing that they would be releasing a new Rayman game that would be built, surprise, on their brand new 2.5D gaming engine called UbiArt Framework. The goal of the engine was to provide a workflow where artists could create animated 2D vector graphics, and the engine could take those to produce a playable game without the developer needing to have extensive coding skills. In theory, this could open the door for game development to be more artist-driven, lowering the technical knowledge barrier of entry. An artist can produce a hand-drawn piece, and the engine would be able to translate that into a game world. But in practice, CEO Yves Guillemot, and again, sorry, I'm not French, said the tools wound up being difficult to use. It's not dead, they still use it to make thousands of Just Dance games, but as far as being used to make the kind of games it was clearly intended to make, nothing. Which makes me kind of sad because I really like this engine. I like the way it looks, the way it moves, and the diversity on display in the games it was used to make. So I want to spend a little time celebrating those precious few games we got before Ubisoft turned it into a Just Dance factory. I'm also not going to cover the myriad of mobile games made in this engine since many of them are just runner versions of Rayman Origins and Legends. This is a celebration of the artful and creative games Ubisoft made in the UbiArt engine. Released in 2011, Rayman Origins has a lot of expectations riding on its success. It was the first game of the series in almost 10 years, and it was the first game to be released that was made using the brand new engine. It also was a 4-player co-op 2D side-scrolling platformer released 2 years after New Super Mario Bros. On the Wii. This meant it was certain to draw direct comparisons with the Big N's flagship franchise. The game met and exceeded those expectations, impressing reviewers for every console it was released on, and it came out on everything, including the 3DS. The game did not sell amazing, but it did turn a profit for Ubisoft. I personally loved this game, and I played it on the PlayStation 3 back in the day, The movement in the game is amazing, and it easily outshines New Super Mario Bros. In my opinion. You can just fly through these games, and it makes them really enjoyable to play, especially as your skill level rises. It reminds me in that sense a lot of Donkey Kong Country, in that you can accelerate and extend movement with the attacks. The presentation really shows off that hand-drawn aesthetic that the engine was built for and would become known for. You can pick it up on Steam now for $20, but I saw it on sale the other day for less than $6. So if you're looking to give it a go, that's probably the way I'd recommend downloading it. There is a free demo of Rayman Origins on Steam. You can download it and play through, I think it's at least 5 or 6 levels. That's where all the recording for this came from. So if you can, give it a go. With Origins serving as a proof of concept, Legends takes the firm foundation of Origins and runs with it, creating one of the best 2D platforming experiences of all time. Released in 2013, the game is a tour de force of great design, beautiful art, and wonderful music. Everything is upgraded and improved for the new generation of consoles, and the 2D art, which already looked great, is further improved to give just that little bit of extra shine and polish. I have a whole review for this game on my channel, so if you want to see my full thoughts on the game, you can click on the card here. In summary though, this is one of my all-time favorite 2D platform games, especially on modern consoles. These two games need more love, and the community clearly agrees, as there is a fan-developed ROM hack of Origins called Origins 2. I haven't tried the ROM hack, but I play Legends all the time on my PS4. It's one of the games that I pick down and just pull and play a few levels of quite often because it's just so much fun. One thing you might note that is both the games so far released on the engine were side-scrolling platformers. Surely this engine could do more than that, right? Indeed it can. Exhibit A, Child of Light. Child of Light is a 2D side-scrolling RPG about a princess named Aurora. Step through the looking glass with Aurora as she sets out to save the kingdom of Lemuria from Umbra, the queen of the night, and return home to her father in our world. An empowering twist on the tropes associated with classic fairy tales, Child of Light is an empowering coming-of-age story about growing up and sacrificing what you want for the greater good. This is another game that I have a full review on my channel, and you can watch it by clicking here. Exhibit B, Valiant Hearts. Valiant Hearts is a side-scrolling historical puzzle game set in the First World War. A heartbreakingly tragic story told in the medium that allows for its more tragic elements to shine all the brighter. I also have a mini review of this game on my channel from the perspective of a teacher. Some of you may not know that I'm a teacher when I'm not doing YouTube. It's based on a blog piece that I wrote many years ago. The thing that makes this game even more tragic is its real-life events that happened around it, and how it tells a very real story of tragedy war brings to the common man. It's unwavering in its portrayal and shows humanity at its best and its worst, all in another hand-drawn art style that just comes to life on the screen like a living canvas. Like all the games so far, it comes highly recommended, but of all of them, this game is the one I would label as the must-play for everyone. I'm going to admit that I've never actually watched Gravity Falls. I was a little sad after Phineas and Ferb went off the air, so I fell off the wagon for Disney cartoons for a while. My son really seems to like it though, so I have been thinking about giving it a watch. Anyway, this is a Metroidvania adjacent side-scrolling platform game. The key art was done by the show's creator Alex Hirsch himself, and then the engine was used to put it all together. The game did not fare well with critics except in the presentation department, but I'm looking forward to diving into it when I have a little bit more time. Just what I played here is a little clunky feeling, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. As the game continues to expand, I'm sure that some of the mechanics will become a little bit more refined. And that's it. All the games made in the engine except for the Just Dance titles and the mobile Rayman games. And it makes me sad. I just really like this hand-drawn aesthetic that the engine excels at. I cannot really think of any other game that does it better with the exception of Hollow Knight and Silksong. My daughter recently bought and played through The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and as I watched her play the game, it looked good, but I could not help but think that I would have liked it better if it was in this engine, using the hand-drawn art showcased in the character portraits. I get that development is a tedious enough process without stubbornly sticking with an engine that people find difficult to use, and I also get that the engine never really produced a title that made an enormous return. But I think that the engine had come out just a few years later, in the wake of Hollow Knight especially, things might have been different, as people would have seen the potential of the aesthetic. But as for me, I hope that someday UbiArt might get made into open source platform. I could really see it being useful for artists who want to make games with their art. I could just imagine some of the things that could be done in this engine by many talented artists online. Until then, we have these games to play and wonder what might have been. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great day.